This is the fifth of 5 short videos reviewing basic geometry. In this video, we'll focus more on triangles. So congratulations for making it to the last video in the basic geometry lesson. There are just 2 last concepts we're going to add on here. So the first is about the sum of the interior angles of a triangle. So the sum of the measures of the 3 angles in any triangle is always 180 degrees. So if I use the sketch below here, and I use A, B, and C to represent those 3 angles, we could say that A plus B plus C is equal to 180 degrees. And again, that's true for any triangle. So a common question you could be asked regarding this would be the following. If 2 angles of a triangle measure, let's say 20 degrees and 100 degrees, find the measure of the third angle. So basically, to find the third angle, we could think about it from the standpoint of the total sum of all 3 is 180, and we can take away the 2 we know about, and that should leave the third. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this up as 180 degrees, minus 20 degrees minus 100 degrees. And let's see, 180 minus 20 sounds like 160. Take away 100 more, and we're left with 60 degrees for the measure of the third angle. So that is, again, what it looks like to work with the interior angles of a triangle. Another really important result about triangles, this is one of my personal favorites, is the Pythagorean Theorem. And this theorem is really related to right triangles only. So it has to be a triangle that has a right angle. But the Pythagorean Theorem states that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b, as labeled in my diagram here, are what we call the legs of the right triangle, and c is what we call the hypotenuse of the right triangle. So this is a very important theorem, useful in many math courses, and basically a typical problem regarding the Pythagorean theorem would give you 2 of the 3 sides of the right triangle and ask you to find the third. So if you read through some of the examples prior to watching this video, you'll notice that I've written out 2 ways of finding this information. By that I mean if you know both legs and you're asked to find the hypotenuse, this Pythagorean theorem can be rearranged and written as hypotenuse is equal to the square root of leg squared plus leg squared. That's one way you could write it. If, let's say, we knew one leg and the hypotenuse and we were looking for the other leg, we could say that leg is equal to the square root of hypotenuse squared minus leg squared. So a lot of times in an arithmetic kind of class, you see it written these 2 ways, and then as you move on, you get real comfortable just working with it in the a squared plus b squared equals c squared form. So we'll just try one example. Let's try finding the length of the hypotenuse in a right triangle if the 2 legs measure 3 feet and 4 feet. So I'll go ahead and draw a little sketch to accompany our process here. So in our right triangle, we know about the 2 legs. One of them is 3 feet, so I'll label my shorter looking one to be 3 feet, and then the other is 4 feet. And this hypotenuse here is what we're looking for. So if I grab the form of the Pythagorean theorem that I wrote on the previous page that was solved for the hypotenuse, it tells us that hypotenuse is equal to the square root of leg squared plus leg squared. So let's just go ahead and try it using this form of the theorem. So for us, this means our hypotenuse will be equal to the square root of one of the legs squared, so I'll just pick on the 3 first, and I won't include my units of measurement till the end just to make it a little easier. So 3 squared plus my other leg, which is 4, and square that as well. So underneath this square root symbol, we have 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. We can add underneath our square root, so 9 plus 16 is 25. And the square root of 25 is saying what number times itself is 25. So this will come out as 5. And don't forget your unit of measurement. In this case, the third side would be 5 feet. So the hypotenuse is 5 feet. So just note that the hypotenuse is always the longest of the 3 sides in the right triangle. So hopefully that helps. And since you've made it this far, it is now time to practice. Have fun.